Hey, I'm Jake, and today on the Steaming Pile, we're talking about 6 demons from across the globe, or Daemons, if you're pretentious. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. Number 1, we've got Belphegor. No, not the black metal band, the demon. Now, Belphegor is usually depicted sitting on a toilet due to the fact that 2 of his primary offerings are human feces and erotic pastries. So, if you decide you want to bake a nice boob cake, dick pie, cock cupcakes or whatever, and you get too hungry on your way to a truck with Belphegor and you eat them, well, just give it a couple hours, take a dump, give him that, and he'll be fine with your brownies. So, Belphegor was originally a Moabite god, or a Moab god. He was absorbed into Christian and Hebrew belief as a demon. Belphegor is the embodiment of sloth. For those who don't know what sloth is, damn, you should really read a dictionary, but it's basically laziness. Belphegor is also associated with premarital sex, orgies, and pleasures of the flesh in general. Although, since he's the embodiment of sloth, I don't know how pleasurable that sex could actually be. I just kind of picture a demon covered in Cheeto dust, wheezing, not really wanting to move, and giving a couple of unenthusiastic pumps. But hey, to each his own, I guess. Belphegor was sent to Earth from Hell to investigate whether marital love is real. And if pop culture is any indicator, the jury's still out on that one. But some other facets about Belphegor are the fact that Belphegor is a shapeshifter. Belphegor likes to take the form... Belphegor takes many forms, but he likes to take the form of a beautiful woman to try to seduce men. So you could say he's the original trap. Now, besides liking shit, erotic pastries, tricking men into having sex with him to cheat on their wives, Belphegor also likes to draw people into sloth. In modern belief, Belphegor is typically invoked by those wishing to become wealthy, famous, or both through invention with minimal effort. This usually doesn't work out for them and kind of draws them into the sin of sloth. Wait a minute though, wealthy through invention with minimal effort. So kind of like creating a YouTube channel and naming it the Steaming Pile, which is also poop related. Oh shit, do I follow Belphegor? Anyway, this usually doesn't work out for the invoker, as the project they embark upon usually fails, which might explain our low views at the moment. Anyway, moving on with number 2, we've got Balor. No, not Finn Balor, the sexy Irish WWE wrestling superstar. Balor, the demon lord of the Fomor. And I apologize in advance for these pronunciations, some of these might be terrible. Balor, chief of the Fomor, which was a group of demons that threatened Ireland in ancient times, sort of like the British, until they were defeated, not the British, but the Fomor, at Moytura in the Second Great Battle. Balor's most notable feature is his large poison eye, which he grew after looking upon a potion being brewed by his father's druids. Now, to me, this just sounds like he walked in at the wrong time while somebody was cooking meth. But I digress. This poisonous eye had the ability to kill anyone that it gazed upon and had to be opened by his demonic attendants. Balor would meet his end at the hands of his grandson Lugus, which, honestly, being killed by your grandson, developing a poisonous eye when you gazed upon a potion, it kind of sounds like some kinslaying Hatfield McCoy stuff to me. Moving on, number 3, we've got the Djinn, or genies if you're an English speaker. No, not like Robin Williams from the Aladdin movie, but more like Jafar at the end of the Aladdin movie, or all throughout the second Aladdin movie. Djinn are demons from Islamic belief and folklore that were created by Allah from smokeless fire. They eventually rebelled against Allah, battled with Allah, and then most of them were destroyed by Allah. Now, the Djinn, who we get the genie myths from, come in all shapes and sizes and many varieties. Some of which include shapeshifters, all the way up to feet-sucking vampires, essentially. But we're going to focus on the ones that we get the genie myth from. Those being the Marid. The Marid are where we get our modern understanding of Djinn. They're where we get the wish-granting mythology. Now, how that comes about is actually a lot different than just rubbing a magical lamp. The methods to obtaining wishes from a Marid are as follows. You can battle for it, but you're probably not a powerful sorcerer, so I wouldn't go that route. You can trap it via sorcery and a magical item. Again, you're not a wizard, wouldn't do that. You can perform a ritual in the Djinn's honor, and it may grant you its favor. Or barring that, there's flattery, but it takes an extreme amount of flattery to gain a Djinn's favor. But hey, with all these thirsty dudes and thirsty chicks out there, I think you all might be up to the task. Next up, we've got number 4, the Strzyga. And that's very hard to say because I'm not Polish, which is where the name is derived from. Now, the Strzyga, or Strix as it will be called from now on, because again, not Polish, is typically depicted as a female demon, males are very rare, a female bird-like demon with a human face. The Strix is believed to have 2 souls, 2 hearts, and 2 rows of teeth. Oftentimes in its first life, it's indistinguishable from humans, and fairly harmless. However, after losing its first life, and coming into its second life, it takes on its monstrous nature. The Strix likes to feed on the blood of mortals, most especially small children, especially newborn/infants. In some belief systems, rather than blood, or in conjunction with blood possibly, it feeds on the very life essence of mortals, or the breath of life, and I guess steals the vitality of human beings away. The Strix typically likes to hang out in barns, towers, graveyards, anywhere a bird or maybe a goth would frequent. Typical ways to keep a Strix from hanging around your homestead would be to hang hawthorn from the windows or sprinkle the threshold of your house with water. Another way would be to leave out pig's blood for it to drink, so it would not feed on the blood of your child. Hey, we all are called long pigs sometimes. Who knows? Now, in another similarity to vampires, besides the sucking blood, Strix can also not stand sunlight. They have to be away to their homes or dwellings or wherever to avoid the sun, lest they be turned to dust by the rising of the sun. That brings us to number 5, Shuten Doji, a Japanese oni or demon. For our intents and purposes, demon. Oni, demon, equivalent. Shuten Doji was not always a demon. In fact, his name wasn't always Shuten Doji. I could not, however, find what his original name was. Shuten Doji was the product of a dragon mating with a mortal woman, like you do. Which, let's talk about that for just a second. If dragons aren't shape-shifting into mortal men to have sex with mortal women, they got small dicks. I mean, that's got to be how it works, right? Like, how do you receive dragon seed at dragon size? Anyway, moving on. Doji was a normal child for the first part of his life, or as normal as a child can be when his father's a dragon and his mother's just a regular woman. Except for the fact that he was extremely strong and almost supernaturally intelligent for his age. He was teased often by the townspeople and often called Demon Child. This made him antisocial and angry and resentful of the townspeople. His behavior became so out of control that his mother abandoned him by the time he was 6. I guess she went out to get a pack of smokes. Anyway, Doji, having no other option, had to become an apprentice monk at a monastery in the mountains. Doji did not like apprenticing as a monk. He was naturally smarter than all the other apprentices, and he grew to resent the masters and apprentices at the monastery. He neglected his studies, would cause fights, and go out drinking. And this is what actually garnered his name, Shuten Doji, which means little drunkard. Now, how did Doji become a demon, though? Well, that all begins during a festival at the monastery. Doji arrives, drunk and late, typical for Doji, dons an Oni mask from the monastery, demon mask, and he begins playing a bunch of pranks on his fellow monks, jumping out from the shadows and scaring them, and just being a drunk dick. We've all seen that guy at parties. Now, at the end of the night, Doji tries to remove the mask, but it is fused to his face, and he cannot remove it. Being scolded by his masters for drinking yet again, and not being able to remove the mask, Doji is embarrassed and afraid, and angered by the scolding, so he flees into the outskirts of the town. Doji continues his drunken dickish behavior by becoming a robber. He harasses the people of the surrounding town by stealing food, money, and alcohol from them. This attracts several followers to his cause. Over the course of this time, Doji learns dark magics and gains a lot of powerful knowledge, transforming himself and his followers into actual Oni. And they all begin harassing the town. This becomes such a problem that a band of heroes has to come and put a stop to it. That band of heroes was led by Minamoto no Yorimitsu. He and his band of warriors were able to stop Shuten Doji and his band of bandits by using some sort of magical poison. They would slay his followers and behead him. Now you would think this would stop Doji, but no, you'd be wrong. The severed head of Doji continued to try to bite the warriors and Minamoto. That is, until they took the head and buried it on the outskirts of town. And now we come to the finale. Number 6, the big cheese of hell. Satan, or the devil. There's not much I can say about the devil that hasn't already been said. The devil appears in movies, music, comic books, cartoons, and just about everything. Notable depictions in cinema include The Devil's Advocate, and even that turd of a movie that Keanu Reeves was in, Constantine. The devil is the subject of many songs from country music to black metal, and even is said to have inspired certain pieces of classical music. Think The Devil's Trill. He's also appeared in several comics like Hellblazer, Preacher, The Chronicles of Wormwood, and those are just naming a few. But what you may not know about the devil is that he is often conflated with other demons. And that's what we're going to focus on. Because again, there's not much to really go over that you don't already know. Sometimes he's called Beelzebub. This is false. Beelzebub is actually a different demon. But the big one that I want to focus on is some theologians and some biblical scholars actually believe that Satan and Lucifer are not the same being, though they are often conflated with each other. Now, this is a hot button issue among a lot of Christians, theistic Satanists, Luciferians, to name a few groups. There's actually a Luciferian religion and a theistic Satanist religion, not to be confused with modern-day secular Satanism that we see in the mainstream constantly. But theistic Satanism and Luciferianism, though they have some philosophical similarities, they are also philosophically different from one another. But we're getting lost in the weeds here. Now, Satan has always existed, supposedly, maybe as long as God. And Lucifer is a fallen angel, the one that rebelled against God. Now, this is all Judeo-Christian stuff we're talking about here. We're not going to get too big into it. All you need to know, Lucifer, fallen angel, Satan, adversary to God, always been around, supposedly. Back to circles of belief, there's also conflicting reports as to who actually rules hell, Lucifer or Satan. Some people say that Satan is subservient to Lucifer. Some people think that Lucifer is subservient to Satan. And then there are some that think hell is actually ruled by 4 princes, 2 of which include Lucifer, Satan, Leviathan, and a 4th. Either way, the big point I'm trying to get across is that Satan and Lucifer are different. Now, with that in mind, like the title of the Rolling Stones song, Sympathy for the Devil, have some sympathy for the devil, and don't call him Lucifer. He's Satan. That's it for this week's video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and see you in hell. Alright, I'm gonna say this a few times. You tell me which one sounds good. Strzyga. Huh?
No.
The Strzyga. Strzyga.
Strzyga.
Strzyga. Strzyga. Or number 4, we've got the Strzyga. Strzyga.
Strzyga.
Strzyga. Or number 4, we've got the Strzyga. Strzyga. The Strzyga. 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 Or number 4, we've got the Strzyga.